What you mean you didn't know you were on our radar, bro? You big deal out here.
Nah. I think the second iteration of Just Say Words is a tad bit different. I never know, man. I never know. I've been around long enough so where I think you've seen a lot of the same things too. Like one week, everybody loving you, then niggas feel a different way.
Yeah.
You like, I don't know where they switched up. And then it be whatever. So for me, I'm always trying to stay, not necessarily stay neutral, but I'm always like looking out for people.
Yeah.
And anybody who's moving fast, I always keep an eye on them because I know we ain't trained for fame.
Yeah. I
so
feel that.
so that's kind of like the thing. I'm like, oh shit, they moving kind of fast. Like, let me see what they doing. So I pay attention a lot to like what's going on out here in the street. So like you, Poindexter, everything they doing in the Midwest, the stuff we trying to do here, and yeah. So I'm always big on like the landscape.
And it's always changing, bro. Like it and it's so funny because it's like podcast, and it's not just like bad ones. There are great podcasts that are
For
literally
sure.
great that disappear after like 20 episodes.
Yeah, no, legit. I think that's why I started the self care for creatives, man, because I think it's always good to have that conversation about like the thing I think we never think of as far as like when you start podcasting is like, yo, you gotta do it for a minute to really like if you get instant fame in podcast, it's not a good look for you. Like you shouldn't want it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember listening to Combat Jack and he was just it wasn't ever they didn't have a guest on. It was just him talking to like A King, like, dog, we was doing this shit for 5 years before somebody offered me to come speak at something. Or they didn't give us no money. They would fly us to South by Southwest and be like, come interview somebody dope. We're gonna give you a voucher for like McDonald's and like a hotel room. And I'm like, nigga, I get that at my job. Like the niggas give
Yeah.
me a
Yeah.
fucking food voucher and fly me to a hotel. I got to figure out another way. And I think what people do is they get up here, and I think that's the thing we talked about, or I think you talked about, and I talked about it with my homie in that video because I think it's about to come out. Is like if you're really good at something, nobody respects it, and the
Yeah.
reason why is because you make it look easy, and that's the reason why online niggas talk crazy about parents, they talk crazy about relationships because people make that shit look easy and never talk about the ugly shit. Like Instagram is all wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like,
And
yeah, I'll be like, this shit's broken.
and it's funny because I honestly think that's what, like, because when I popped up or came on people's radars, everybody was like, well, you just came out of nowhere. And it's like, y'all didn't see, I was behind the scenes doing
Mm-hmm.
this for a minute. And so the Waking Soul popped up on your radar. Love Less and Badass Soul popped up on your radar. And in your
Mm-hmm.
minds, it's like, how did, where did he come from? And it's like, I've been perfecting my craft for years before I got to this point. And
Yeah,
so, um, and then it's like people are so quick to like, they see something in you that they don't have, and rather than try to learn it, they try to tear you down.
yeah,
And I don't understand because that's not me. I help people. I've bought people mics that I ain't even known. You feel me? Like,
mm-hmm.
and just off the strength of there's enough space for us all to win. If I rock with your content, if I rock with you, I
Mm-hmm.
that's it. You got me. Like I got you. And
Yeah.
then like for people to see stuff like that and get tense about it, it's like I don't understand that, man.
I mean, I think this thing, like, it's the thing I constantly talk about. Like, whenever I'm interviewed or I talk to people, I'm like, for Black folks, they always make it like it can only be one. Like, it's some Last Dragon shit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it don't gotta be that way. I told my homie that too. He was like, a prime example. So when we started Pod Dealers, um, somebody in the community had came to me and was like, yo, you should start classes. Because like a lot of people will start a podcast, but they don't know what type of mics they need. They don't know what type of shit you need. And at first I felt real iffy about it. Like I didn't want to charge people to come to the class. So we did them for free and nobody showed up. We showed up like two people showed up. So then we was like, all right, we're gonna charge. So I just charged them like stupid. I was like, all right, $15 and I'm gonna tell y'all everything y'all need to know to start a podcast. And like we packed that shit out.
That's crazy.
And I was like, damn, that's crazy because I was giving this shit away for free for at least a couple months in a row and nobody showed up. I put $15 on it. People was like, tell me how you do this shit. We had people in there starting like, yo, I'm trying to start a YouTube channel, like, but it's already people doing makeup. And I was like, do your fucking makeup different. You got a different face. Oh shit, that's crazy. I never thought of that. And I
Exactly.
was like, dog, do y'all not have friends? Like, what the fuck? Like, That's what I always tell the story of, like, how did Just Say Word start. Like the show you're getting is not the show that I planned from jump. It was supposed to be
Okay.
me and my homeboys. It was supposed to be me and my homeboys talking shit every week about video games, movies, pop culture, and shit. And then right when everything happened, I bought a fucking brand new MacBook, mics, all time. And I know I bought mics. I bought a bunch of USB mics. Um, right when that shit happened, the same week, my homie and his girl they got engaged, and she switched on him like, nah, you can't hang out no more. Like, be in the crib. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Do your thing. My other homie, him and his girl got pregnant, and then that shit. And I was like, fuck, man, I don't have a show now. I had the mics and my laptop sitting in my garage for like forever. And then I was out, some girl was drinking, and I was telling her about podcasting and shit. And she was like, you should just do it. Just start saying stuff. Just like go up there and start saying words. And I was like, all right. And like a week later, we just started doing this shit. And then I didn't even set the stuff up. I did my first like 10 episodes off my phone.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's wild, bro. Damn. And so like, and my journey into like podcasting, for most people who are gonna listen to this know, like, I was doing wrestling for a while, like wrestling podcasts. Did that shit for like 3 years. I just started getting unfulfilled by it, like legitimately showing up to doing it. It was like, bro, what am I doing? I, I have so much more to say than this.
Yeah.
So it spun out from that. But we just kind of got into it. Listen, I'm saving that. That's making the show. For any listeners, we got Jay from Just Say Words in the building. This has been someone who I've been wanting to have on a podcast for so long, and I think I cracked the topic. I can't wait till we get into these topics. But you guys all know what's going on, Jay.
What's happening, man? What's happening? How's everybody doing? Be great, be good to each other. Hopefully, we're gonna have a dope show. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's just definitely. So you kind of already got into it, like the start of the Pod Dealers Network. That was kind of the first thing that I have for you. I also want to ask, like, what's your vision for it? And I think that I want to make sure that I highlight this, because I have the Breaks Media Network, and you have the Pod Dealers Network. Like, this that word network, people will automatically assume like we're competition, and it's not like that at all. This is a brotherhood. But so tell us about the Pod Dealers Network.
So Pod Dealers started as an idea at first. It really wanted to be a space where I knew people in the community who wanted to be on big networks. Like, we all strive to be on loudspeakers or go to Gimlet and tell our story, or BuzzFeed when they were doing podcasts and stuff like that. And for some reason, I just felt like that's not even obtainable. I had seen all these boot camps, come give us an idea and maybe you'll get to host your show. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I had always wanted to create shows too, maybe even for other people to host. So we started, reaching out to other shows that were dope, just to kind of see where they were at. We're doing a lot of digital analytics as well. So I had been to so many classes where they explain, like, how do you break in the new and noteworthy, how you essentially like work the algorithm for iTunes across the world, not necessarily the USA charts, but like the Germany charts and all that other stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started learning how to do it for my podcast. But the thing I started doing was watching other people, the way they podcast, so I could spot some of the deficiencies. Like, the content would be really good, but they weren't being that good at marketing, or like their promotion wasn't that good. Or it'd be the other thing, like their show wasn't structured, and nobody on the campus going to tell them, hey man, like, y'all just kind of be all over the place.
Exactly.
Like, sometimes it's really good, but sometimes it's like, hey man, look, maybe if you broke this up into segments. And I think I learned a lot of that through trial and error with this show. Like, I remember talking straight up and just running through topics and then breaking it down, and then realizing I couldn't do like 40 minutes of straight talking. And there are some people who can do it. Like, I've listened to you. I've listened to Sid. I've listened to my homie over there, Do-Rags and Boat Shoes. Like, you can just talk straight up and go through the thing. Like, I can't do it. I can give you a 10-minute hard topic. We're gonna switch gears and then get into it. So with Pod Dealers, we also wanted to do more for the community. I watch what other people do in their city and their states and stuff, and I'm like, damn, I really want that. I'm not a Virginia native, but like, I don't understand why podcasting can't be big here either.
That's dope. And it's funny you say, you mentioned me. My thing is, I had to work up to that, bro. Like, I did not have that when I first started my show. thought was its own segment because I could not do it, man,
Yeah.
at all. But yeah, I think too is like for me, the difficulty at first was knowing how to present to people like, hey, if you change this, because it's like you don't want to come to that person and be like, if you mix this up and them take it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like for me, it came more naturally as my status of like the Awakened Soul grew, and people were more open to it.
Yeah.
But like I was a podcast listener for 10 years before I was a podcaster. You feel
For
me? I,
sure.
I
Yeah.
used to work overnight at a hospital and I used to listen to podcasts. And this is when it was like 20 on iTunes. So like
Yeah.
that's how I got in. So it's like I think of things from a listener standpoint first. That's how I
Right.
try to attack it. And some people just aren't open to some people really are just locked into what they think is right and they're not really open to change. And that it's like you have something here, just tweak a couple of things, it'll be bigger than what it is.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of what happened to me in the beginning. Like the way we started out in the beginning with Just Say Words was like you said, it wasn't a whole bunch of black podcasts. I think there maybe might have been like a handful, and I listened to those, but it was stuff that I saw. Um, I think it was like Game Scoop or something. Like we were really into video games, and like,
Yes.
and I was like, "Yo, I'm really into video games," but like y'all never talk about like what it means to have a black character or what it means to like have somebody tell a true black story or from that perspective. And I was like, yeah, why can't we just create that? And that's originally what Just Say Words was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the Black Game Scoop, but
Oh wow. That's
but
what's up.
like but we like I said, like we things kind of switched up and then it was just me. And so it was all over the place. Each episode was kind of something different. We talked about movies one week, we talked about, my personal experiences. So it's been all over the place. So I think that's the part of podcasting that people don't talk about enough. Like if you've been podcasting for some years, you definitely should be like commending the person that you listen to, like, yo, their growth. Because I know, like, I don't think the same way I used to think from when I first started podcasting. You get up here and
Yeah.
be reckless, and I think when I see people tweet like that, like, man, y'all be out here podcasting and y'all not being yourselves and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, maybe that person's still growing. I don't want to be like everybody's not a Charlemagne where you're trying to be like, I gotta say the most controversial thing first thing in the morning. Like, you
Yeah.
just got to be like, oh man, I don't know, I'm wild right now. But in like a year, you might be like, I was tripping. I don't know what I was on.
That's something that in the culture is like we don't give people the room to grow anymore or change. It's like if you give an idea, you're penciled into just keeping that idea the rest of your life. And it's like
For sure.
when has life ever worked that way?
Only since whenever year Twitter came out.
Yeah, man, this cancel culture shit is wild, bro. What's been you mentioned it before. You've been around for a while. You've peeped the scene. What's been the wildest thing you've seen in like the podcasting scape?
It's all mainly been positive. I mean, I haven't seen
Yeah,
anything too insane. I think the people who went from like I have a podcast to getting a TV show, I think that's wild.
yeah, that's what I was
Like
going. Mine
that's
is
the craziest thing.
mine is horrible. The growth of horrible decisions was like this.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
literally it happened in a blink of an eye. Like they were at first they were the new podcast on loudspeakers that it was like some people knew about or like a group of people knew about. You talked about it, and then all of a sudden it was like everybody in the world knows about horrible decisions.
Hmm. For sure. No, I definitely feel the same way. I remember I didn't follow Mandy, but she kept popping up on my Instagram feed. And I remember it was like a bunch of people that I follow went to their live show. I think like her mom was there or something. And then like you said, like 2 weeks later, it was like, yo, we're going to loudspeakers. And then maybe like 2 months later, she's like, I'm quitting my job and I'm podcasting full time. Like this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And I was like,
crazy.
holy shit. Like, and then that's the thing that to me like inspires me where I'm like, damn, yo, there could be somebody out there who has like not necessarily in the same lane, but more or less like, yo, I got a story to tell. I got, I'm really interested. I can interview really well, whatever that is. Like there are tons of people who have talents that I think they're just pigeonholed by based on like the way they were kind of brought up. Like, just go get you a good 9 to 5, sit down, keep your head down, work really hard. But I'm like, damn, man, what about the creative side? Like, what else? There's got to be
Yeah.
more. There's got to be more to this, right?
Do you start feeling like as you've grown as a creative, do you feel like less less and less engaged into your 9 to 5?
Um. So yeah, but here's the thing. So as of, I just like finally got to a good place of like saying this. As of like a few months ago, I've been working solely on pod dealers. I haven't had a job in like 4 months.
Oh, that's what's up.
So, so day in and day out of doing like pod dealers has been different opposed to like going to my job. So I remember, I think I had tweeted this. I was like, I remember sitting at my desk and being like, I just want to go record. And then
All the time.
yeah, like I just want to go record, or like, damn man, I got to get home and I got to edit some shit. And it just so happened, you know, like the job, everything kind of lined up. Like Pod Dealers was getting bigger in the community, and they were also doing batch like layoffs. And so they were like, we can move you around and you can still keep your job. And I was like, what that severance package looking like? so so they was like, you know, they gave me this severance package, and I was like, all right, cool. Not only that, I mean, like I have a web development and a digital analytics background, so tech stuff is always going to be, it's always going to be available.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely ran into that space of like, damn, I don't want to. I would rather quit, or I'd rather leave because I want to go do podcasting, or I want to do creative stuff, or a topic will pop up and I need to go. I feel like I need to go find somebody and do that. So a lot of times, I think the biggest part that bothered my 9 to 5 is I would constantly be texting or emailing somebody from my phone, and they would be like, "Hey, like, you know, you're in the middle of a call. They're not talking to me on a fucking call, man. Like, like leave me alone, dog. Like, let me get these tweets off or whatever." But I definitely think it does. I would love to hear from more people. Like, how do they do? Like, how do you function with that? Like, I think about the people who write all the time,
Yeah.
or like even if your pop culture or some shit pop off at work and you're like, yo, I need to talk about this soon, because that's a life where you live like everything is essentially on the shot clock.
Exactly.
Like, we need to talk about this, or or we're gonna miss it.
And that's like the YouTuber's life. Like people who have quit and been able to do YouTube full time, they got to get that content out before it's dead. With podcasting, we get a little bit more of a reprieve. People kind of wait a week for our next episode. They kind of understand it, but even then, like there's a Matty Mo is the only podcaster I personally know that does a podcast every day of the week, and he still works full time. I'm like, how do you do it? Like, where are you finding the time at, bro? It's wild.
Yeah, it's intense. So shout out to him. I used to do that too, but not as much. So I did it. So when I first got into podcasting and I started reading about podcasts, they said that you were supposed to give the listener an hour of content every, however long, whenever you drop. So every week. But the thing about it was like we were talking about earlier, I didn't have the capacity to do that. So what I was doing was dropping, like breaking it down. So I would give like 4 15-minute episodes a week, or like, here's a, you know, whatever it was that got me to 60 minutes. So it would be just like, I just want to talk about one thing for 8 minutes and another thing for 12 minutes. Like whatever that was that got me to an hour. And we would just put them out every day. The thing was, it wasn't kind of conducive to people, because like if you miss 2 days, like you're behind. And even though this is, it's a short podcast, you still kind of like, I don't know what episode he's on. That's why, like, that's another reason why the number is up so high. So now, like, I'm slowing down. Like, I was just kind of laughing at that the other day. I was like, I worked really hard for 3 years to get like break 200 and do all this other stuff and like lap all these like plays and get like, I'm big on getting my 10,000 hours out of the way for like practice. And now I'm looking at like Joe Budden and I'm like, damn, they've been doing it 5 years and they just kind of catching up to where I'm at. Like they're 5 episodes away from my number.
That's wild. That's what's up. That this shows your hard work, man. And that's one thing that nobody can take away from you, bro. You work hard as fuck. Like people say that about me, but I sit there and I watch and I'm like, this nigga Jay is working. Like that's what's up, man.
No, yeah, I think this is the same thing I tell like a lot of people. You can't teach work ethic and you can't teach comedic timing. So those things, it's just what it is, man. But I think a lot of us try to figure that out. And don't get me wrong, guys. I do work hard, but I also use the cheat code. So I use like Hootsuite. I use a bunch of I use a bunch of shit to like tweet for me. I'm not really around. I'll be sleeping in some days.
Yeah, I just recently started doing it too. So fuck. I mean, you got to though. Once you get to a certain point, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And I'll inside tweet. I mean, tip to people: buy the premium version of some apps. It's definitely worth it. That's all I'll say. That's all I say. You can't get everything free. But last thing before we get into the actual topics that we have today, I said I put on here that I have an icebreaker surprise question for you. I didn't want you to prepare for it. I kind of want this one to come off the cuff. You ready?
I'm ready.
What's as we know, celebrities have broken into they realize the value in podcasting. But what celebrity podcast to you that you've listened to that is horrible?
Um, Mark Maron. Mark
Ooh, that's a good
Mark
one.
Maron's WTF podcast is always in top rated. Mark Maron's podcast isn't that good. It's not that good. I started listening to it when he had Obama as a guest. I think it gets high praise because it gets a lot of downloads, but it's not conversational. He's also interviewing people that he kind of knows because he's in comedy and comedy writer and all that other stuff. The thing about it is those people never get to complete a thought. He talks over everybody. So it sucks. And I hate it. So I'm just like, damn, that sucks that your podcast is popular and it's kind of shitty. Chris Hardwick's podcast, he's a celebrity. He's not that good.
Yeah,
So
he's not that
basically,
good.
it's a lot of white dudes who don't make good podcasts.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
yeah.
Mine is but it's I've honestly started coming around to it, but this is just the first one that came to mind. Nori, what is it? Drink Champs?
Oh yeah, I tried to spare Nori, but I'm
Listen, as I when he has a great interview, like the person on the other side is doing great, like I can tune in, but he is so annoying to me as a host. It's ridiculous, man.
Are we gonna acknowledge that his teeth are too big to interview too?
That too.
Okay.
They should have never cracked in the video. He repeats the same thing, like his interview with Rick Ross. Rick Ross did great, but he repeated the same question to Rick Ross like 15 times.
I
I'm
couldn't
like,
watch it.
bro,
I tried to
he
watch it on
answered it.
YouTube. I tried to watch it on YouTube. I'm also a big person of like people in the background. Like it was funny when it first started.
Yeah.
Then when they blew up, I was like, so y'all gonna keep doing it? Make some motherfucking noise for Rick Ross wearing a coat. And I was like, all right, I'm out. Peace. Y'all enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Man, I don't understand it. But let's get into the topics for this week, man. Let's try to bring some mental change. So the topic, the overall topic, the title, I'm titling this "Redefining the Image of the Black Man."
Okay.
What did you think when I first sent you that and you read that initially?
So I think it's breaking social norms. I think a lot of what we talk about lately, and even on the Grow Bro podcast, shout out to Baby Huey, we talk a lot about what we normally think men are supposed to do or men are supposed to be like versus what it's like now, whether it be talking about emotions or our feelings being hurt or even being thought like doing something that is toxic and you're thinking that is the only way. So that's what I initially thought of. I was like, damn, he's going, he's swinging for the fences with your boy.
Oh yeah, I'm going for it, man. I'm going for it. And we I kind of evolved this topic into some other stuff I had on here for you, but then it just became its own beast. So I spun it
Okay.
off into another episode I'm doing with BJ, which is gonna get that one's gonna be wild.
Yeah, y'all gonna be it's gonna be all over the place. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah. But so this one, the first topic that we have here is balancing being vulnerable with being viewed as sensitive. And so the first subsect of this is women often speak about how black men are closed off emotionally, yet criticize a man who speaks out about their feelings. Where's the balance? What do you think about that?
So I think that is a conversation that needs to happen between the genders. You don't necessarily have to be in a relationship, but you need to be somewhere where people are open and where they're open-minded in a way, mainly because I've heard people vent and they're venting, things that I think are minute, right? You're just like, yo, this, I don't even know you're tripping over this. And that's a lot of times what like happens when being your dude. Even if it's something you're just like, hey man, like I didn't like this or this motherfucker's tone was off, and you're like, damn, why you tripping over that? I mean, we do it to men, like we do it to each other. I think the perceived notion of you being strong is always a thing, and it's hard to separate from like what's the difference between complaining and an actual like something that's actually frustrating, right? So if you get in why you always leaving the toilet seat up, I'm like, is this a real complaint or is it just are you backing up in here? Are you moonwalking? You moonwalking to the toilet? Like that's not my that's not my fault.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think we need to really have a conversation about where does genuine frustration come from versus like, all right, you're kind of whining. And it's okay to have that thing too. I think once you're vulnerable, you automatically become defensive too. Like any critique is an attack, and that's not necessarily the same thing.
absolutely, absolutely. When like when did you as a man start getting in touch with it's okay to be vulnerable? Because it took a long time for me, so I'm always interested to see like where other people came.
Mm, this might be fairly recent.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not a. It's not something that I've always had. I think a lot of my being, or a lot of my trust being broken and not being able to like cry and stuff came from like my house. Like my pops weren't around, and my mom grew up in a space where like even for women, like crying and whining and shit was like frowned upon. Like don't do that shit. So it's the kind of the way she raised us. Like I I talk to my brothers now. I love my brothers to death. We haven't said I love you in a really long time. I said it on a group call and they looked like it was like weird silence. Like niggas ain't know what to do. And we related. Like they was like, have a good day. And I was like, all right, that's not okay, that's fine. Um being vulnerable now came through like therapy, came through like honest discussions like with my mom and kind of stuff like that. Also, I've always had like a fair amount of trust issues. So like letting people in, letting people get close and stuff like that. I think it's something that I'm still, working through. But yeah, it's a fairly new thing of being like, I'm not feeling it today, or like, oh, that shit hurt my feelings.
yeah. I think for me it became like anyone who doesn't know my backstory, like my pops was military, so it was like none of that shit. It was like you ain't got time to feel. You get up and do what the fuck you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's a great father, but I mean he was raised old school. He didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We're the first generation, I think, of men who really understand the importance of mental health for us as men.
Mm-hmm.
So like he didn't understand that, but uh, so I honestly think the first time was like when my daughter was born. I cried. I didn't know why the fuck I cried, and I don't ever cry, bro. And I
Mm-hmm.
think at that point it was like it just opened, like the floodgates almost opened, so to say. Like at that point it was like there's times now where I think about like my grandmother passed. My grandmother was the closest person ever to me.
Mm-hmm.
This was 16 years ago. I'll think about her and start crying now, and I'm not ashamed of that
Yeah, for
because that's
sure.
how much she meant to me. But it took that moment of my daughter being born and seeing her come out the womb when they pulled her out. It was just like so much when as they pulled her out, they pulled the emotion out of me that I blocked
Mm-hmm.
off for so long. And at that point when it came, I wasn't afraid to be vulnerable anymore because you can't hurt me. So what? Something hurt my feelings. You finna make me feel bad for it? Nah, you can't scare me into not feeling that.
Yeah, I think I think for me was when it was like after a therapy session, and it was a lot of like my therapist being like, there's a lot of things that you need to confront, probably like your mother and your father with. And I remember my mom had came down here to visit. This was like right before she retired. And so we was like sitting in the house, and I'm talking to her. And I just was like, all right, look, we got to get into it's like a band-aid though. Like you gotta, we kind of starting to like, you peel the bit and you're like, all right, this is the part where it's pulling the hair. Like, all right, come on, we gonna do it quick and we gonna be done with it. And so I remember like talking and being like, I know you did the best you could with what you had, trying to raise us boys, do all this other stuff, but it kind of fucked me up the way I handle people. And I remember like getting to that and like, how you got that I'm about to cry feeling. So
Yeah,
your
yeah,
throat all dry, you stuttering and shit. And then, dog, was, I don't think I cried that hard in a minute. And so we got through it. And I think her main takeaway was she was trying to figure out if I was saying that she was a bad mother. And I was like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, what I'm saying is, I understand why you raised us the way you did, but it didn't end up being conducive to us being like men for real.
yeah.
Um, Kind of the same thing too. I think the last time I saw my pops, for those of you who listen to 121 Days episode. Like that was me finding out that my pops had died. But like, um, the last time I saw my pops was the last time I saw my pops, and so we spoke over a course of like 2 or 3 days, and he ended up apologizing and saying like he knew he wasn't the best dad, and addiction is some other shit. So I couldn't really fault him for real. You trying to be in the streets, but you also using. There was a whole bunch of shit going on, and I was like, look, man, I'm not faulting you for that. We turned out okay, but like, damn, there were times I needed you, fam, and he apologized for that, and we didn't really cry or no shit. It was just kind of like, all right, we off of that, and then we went back to watching like football or something.
That's crazy. But was that moment like was as much as you guys like didn't cry about it or anything? Was just being able to say that enough of a release for you to where you let go of that resentment that you had?
No, you see, that's the thing. I never really resented my pops. Like a lot of,
Okay.
I felt like we had kind of made it like everything that I learned about like hustling and working hard and like learning how to manufacture and generate funds. I learned that from my mom. So I never really had no like no not necessarily no need for my pops. There was a lot of times that like I guess there was a lot of times I felt like I needed him but it was more like a comparison thing. Like I'm seeing other dudes play football with their dad or like, their
Okay.
dad coming to their game. So, like I played
Yeah.
basketball, but nobody showed up. My mom ain't into sports. so, so she'll drop you off and be like, call me when the game over.
Yeah.
So that kind of shit. But the thing that fucked up the whole like trip for me was when they told me my pops was in the hospital or whatever. I'm driving from Virginia Beach to Philly. And the whole time I'm already like prepping in my brain, like, yo, I'm gonna tell him, damn, I wish you was a better dad and this, that, and the shit. Damn, I ain't seen my dad since I was like a fucking toddler or some shit. Like, I think the last time, not even a toddler, I think the last time I saw my dad was like 8 or 9. And then I'm like, damn, I'm in my mid-30s now. So I'm about to
Damn.
show up here and this nigga ain't seen me with a beard or no shit. Like, I'm about to show up here as a
Yeah.
whole fully formed man. I walk in the room, it's doctors around the bed and shit. And they asking me like, can we help you? And my fucking dad sits up and goes, oh, that's my baby boy. This whole plan coming to tell him he ain't a good daddy, we throw that shit out the window. Cause now I'm like, oh shit, I had no idea. Cause now he's like, oh, that's my baby boy. Yeah, come on in here. And then we talking and chilling and laughing. But I'm like, I know I needed to get that off. And he was the one who initiated the like, I want to rebuild a relationship and shit like that. He just didn't make it.
Man. That and see it's stuff like that. You hear stories like that, and that's like what part of what's I've always had my dad around, but the thing that makes me always want to be in my kid's life and active and like not miss a moment is like I never want to be that person that's like, let's try to catch up for missed time, because
For sure.
there's no like that's not promise. I never want to miss a moment. I never want to be sitting around one day like, damn, let me call him because I may have missed that. No, that's not finna fly for me, fam.
So I always have this question too, and I ask this to like fathers and stuff. When y'all in the very beginning, did you find yourself doing stuff that you wished your father did for you, or like either one of your parents? Like I see dudes sometimes being like, "Yo, I bought my kids all of this, and I'm doing this," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Damn, you took the 3-month-old to Disney World? Like I
Yeah.
it's chill, like that's dope, but damn, like
Yeah. With my first son, like he was not even walking. The dude had so many pairs of shoes, it was ridiculous. And my
mm,
mom, one time, I remember my mom said to me, like, why are you buying this baby so many shoes? Like they're not even they don't tie. They're not real shoes. Why are you buying them so many shoes? And it was trying to give that like because I remember times where it was like I wanted a pair, especially after my parents divorced, and it was just
mm,
my mama. There's times where I wanted shoes, and my mom was like, I just bought you a pair of shoes 6 months ago. You ain't getting shit else. It's like, all
for
right,
sure.
nah, we not finna fly with that in my house. So like, yeah, I overcompensated a bit. I think I had a great role model for a father. I
Mm,
think it was more me trying to compensate for my mom. Me and my mom were never close until I got older, and so because of that, I tried to be my dad. Plus, I tried to be what I felt I was lacking in my relationship with my mom.
okay.
And so because of that, I did the most. And like it's still the reason why I don't well, I have good kids. I've never had to really whoop my kids because
Mm,
literally the look scares them enough for right now.
for sure.
When that wears off, we'll see how I adjust.
Yeah.
But like my mom beat me for everything. Like it
Same.
was literally everything. I remember one time she was in the room, called me to come get the remote for her, change the channel, and I stomped off. By the time I made it through her threshold of the door, I was on the floor.
Yeah.
And so because of stuff like that, I'm like, I ain't gonna whoop my kids. So
No, that makes sense. I got whooped because I was learning how to tell time, and I we didn't have any digital clocks in the house, and so I ain't know how to this analog shit was bullshit, and I was like, I don't know. I remember my mom trying to be like, what time is it? And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, the little hand, you know how you do as a kid, like the little hand on the 8 and the big hand on, and that shit didn't fly. She was fucking pissed off, and then that brush that I was brushing my hair with turned into some type of fucking weapon. But that's the thing that's funny now. Like if you bring up them stories about getting your ass beat and shit like that, like now your parents be like, I don't remember that, and I'm like, no, that's fucking trauma, fam.
Yeah. Like my mom straight up one time tried to tell my wife like, I don't remember whooping you that much, and I'm looking at her like, you would lie. Like, what do you mean? It's because you didn't whoop me. You beat my ass. Like it wasn't no whooping, fam.
That's
so yeah, that's why. Like that's a whole nother podcast. It can be is like parental trauma because we all got it, whether you realize it or not. We all got it. But the next question that we kind of have, I know we talked about being more in touch and being more vulnerable with our feelings. My question is this: why is being sensitive viewed as a negative anyway? Like, why is it a negative to be sensitive?
I hate this overused term, but it is toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And also too, being sensitive is also like a market. Like you see people do that shit like, no, I really be thinking about like, why can't we cry more? And we should be hugging more. And then like you see the tweets and shit go up or like the Facebook quotes. What's my nigga who be shitting on Derrick Jackson? That's that nigga.
Oh yeah.
He be trying to like, no, see, this is what men really mean. Nah, nigga, nah, we said what we mean, Derrick. You don't gotta speak for us. Just chill out, fam. So yeah, but it's that shit. Like it's also capital too. Like you find some people that play on the emotions of other people.
Okay.
And sometimes empathy can also turn into currency. And that's the reason why people be like, nah, they trying to do some other shit.
Yeah.
Like they trying to be like overly sensitive. It's not that deep. But even as men, like if we don't properly know how to communicate, all of us aren't good communicators. I know I'm not one. I'm not the best. And so if I say something hurts my feelings, then you have to overly explain. And then you overly explaining this thing, you're already vulnerable. You find yourself getting frustrated. And of course, you that reverts right back into anger. There's never a point A and point B to being sensitive or being vulnerable or being open to say like, damn, I wish that didn't happen to me. Or damn, I'm like, I wish I didn't say that. Or this is a sensitive subject for me. It's kind of like, I think something we're going to talk about probably later is like, even around men, if you say something hurts your feelings, that shit is an invite to get roasted. Like,
yes.
like,
And that's the very next topic we got. Like, are we detrimental to our own emotional health and growth in our brotherhoods, man?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we also don't know how to console each other
at all.
Like for sure. Like if you hit me up, it'd be like, Jay, I'm just having a bad mental health day. I'm like, man, shut your sad ass up and come on outside, stop playing. Fuck, man. Like,
yeah.
But I know I've been there, man. I've been there. Like, I see the tweets when people are just like, yo, I'm not having a good mental health day. And I think this is the thing that I'm working with too. Like, I don't really know I don't know if that person is asking for help. So I'm always kind of like sitting back watching, like, I don't really know if I should reach out to them or do whatever. But like, and I hope they get over it. Like, I don't know what the next steps are because it's also the same thing. Like, then you look stupid trying to be like, hey man, I'm here for you if you want to vent. Like, nigga, I don't know you. We from the internet. Like, exactly. Nah. I'm like, oh, all right, well, my fault.
And then in person is even kind of like more awkward because like, what am I gonna do? Hug you so then you can push me away? Like, it's like what? Yeah, it's like what? Yeah. What do we do? And it's not even necessarily. It's not meant to be toxic. But like you said, we're men generally, and I know women are gonna run with this. We're not the level of. I'm not gonna say we're bad. We're not the level of communicators women are. We communicate completely differently, and so because of that, it's like we don't know how to deal with this shit. We don't know how to deal with it, man. Like if my best friend came to me right now, was sitting in front of me, and he was like, "Yo, man, I just I feel like I ain't did nothing right." And he starts crying. I'm gonna be looking at him, and not even in the sense that I don't want to support him. I don't know how to. Like, I really don't have the emotional growth, I guess, to know how to deal with that. It's different when it's my kid. I'm gonna hug my kid, kiss him on the head, and try to console him. I'm not doing that with no grown ass man.
No, same for real. So the way like for the women out there who are like, I don't understand why. So the way when men get emotional, other men look at them the same way we used to look at TVs when a picture go out. Like, you know, when a picture go out on TV, like, what the fuck? Like, you
Exactly.
you go up to it, you start banging on it and shit. You're like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with this TV? Like, that's the way we be looking at each other, man. Like, I've been in places where like homies have said some shit and they crying, but I'm like, damn, I don't know if I'm supposed to hug this nigga, man. Like, you know, you petting them on the head and shit. Like, hey, all right, fam. I hope you make it through that. Because we're just not really taught to console each other, right? And I
Yeah.
don't care how long y'all been together, man. It could be your best friend. Y'all been through thick and thin and all the other shit. It's just some stuff you'll never experience, or y'all may never, you know, get to a point where you're that deep. But I mean, I wish we would. I mean, there's more things that I'm starting to find out now as far as like camaraderie with people in podcasting, camaraderie and people in the community. There's all these classes about like how we can console each other, all these classes about how we should be there for each other. And I think a lot of times it's not a continuous thing. For us, it's always we start over new. Like with men, it's a new slate. Like me and you are having this conversation now, right? And we're gonna have this good conversation. And then maybe I text you or I speak to you later. We're gonna start right back over from scratch. It's gonna be, hey man,
Yeah.
football started. What's up with the Bears, man? Oh man, what's going on with the Bulls, man? Oh man, you know, I'm about to watch this Eagles game. But we're gonna go through all of that typical shit to real then we really get into the like, so how you
Exactly.
doing? How you been? Like, what's your mind like? We never get to pick up from the like, hey man, you know, I really appreciate you for coming through and like holding me down on the episode, or like, you know, just being out for me. Like, I'll give you a prime example. Matter of fact, me and you, I know we don't know each other that well, right? We're building that.
Yeah.
But like, I saw you tweet about your aunt, right? And I was like, I don't know. There's two ways for me to handle this. Hey man, I hope you make it through that. Or keep it strictly business and be like, hey man, I'm gonna reschedule the episode for you, and I'm gonna let you deal with it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And so I was like, look, man, I'm gonna just let you play it however you want to play it, man. But I'm sorry that happened, and I'm here if you want to chat. Like, I think I'm still fairly new to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I am too. Like my brother BJ, who I know you know very well as well.
Uh,
Uh he's really like being as close as I am with him now. Like BJ's literally the only dude I ever know who literally would text me and be like, "Hey, I'm just doing a mental health check-in, bro. How you doing? How you feeling? What's going on?" And like having that experience with him is making me realize like how to do that with other people, like other family members, other people around me. Like BJ is honestly one of the most emotionally uh well developed men I've known. He's very in touch with this. Like he will openly admit he's sensitive, and
mm-hmm.
that's fine. Like it's not in a way to gain sympathy. It's in a way just self reflective of how he knows he processes stuff. And then being around him, I'm starting to realize like, all right, I'm starting to pick up on some of those attributes in a positive way. It's helping me develop as a person. So
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing. I think a lot of times, I don't know if we're gonna get to that in the next thing, but a lot of times the way men treat emotions is the same way we treat. All right. So the way I said this in another conversation, the way we should treat emotions is the same way we should treat like water, like bodies of water. So a lot of times, like when you go to the beach, right, the waves are just kind of coming and going and everything's cool. But ideally, what happens is people end up building up a wall. You know, you're trying to keep yourself away. You're building like a sandcastle or some type of sand wall to keep the water out. But what happens is you never let those emotions in, and then the water essentially builds up, the wall breaks, you drown, and then you don't kind of know how to handle it. You're in a fray. Ideally, what you should be doing is handling it like you're going to the beach with a surfboard. So when the emotions come, you essentially just lay down on your surfboard and ride the wave.
that's dope. That's
So but we don't. We're not allowed to do that, right? Like you're
yeah.
not allowed when you're sad, you got to get up. Like you said, you got a family, you got to get up, you got to go to work. You ain't got time to sit around and be like, damn, it's I ain't feeling it today. Not even on no depression shit. Just I don't want to go to work, man. I just would rather lay in the bed and kind of get my shit together. Um, and you never get that moment to ride the wave. And I think we're starting to see more people being like, I'm going to sit in this. I'm going to sit in this sadness, and it's going to be over with. It's going to be temporary. Like you got to talk yourself through it.
Yeah. Man, that's definite, man. That's a bar, bro. That's a bar. Uh,
I appreciate that.
oh yeah, absolutely, man. So the last set of topics that we have, this one is I titled it "Redefining Our Public Image." As black men, we're often depicted in media as public enemy number one. We're
Mm.
feared by the white community and considered thugs by first glance. We are also feared by black women, sometimes due to the same strength that they seek in us for protection. What do you think about that?
That was so that I went felt two ways about it. When we're doing the shit with the white people, I was like, no, you right. Then you was like talking about black women. I was like, I don't want no parts. Don't ask me no questions. I don't want my mentions filled with people being like, oh, so what you think about us? I'm like, y'all are queens and have a great day. Uh
Listen, BJ said it best on one of the episodes. I think it was the first Unruly Creatives episode. He said it said that some of our queens are hoes, but that I'm leaving that there. That's a quote. That's not me saying it. I'm quoting that. I'm leaving that there. But keep it moving.
oh my God. You can't just drop it off in my lap that way. Like, oh, the queens is hoes. Anyway, what do you think, Jay? Uh it'd be like that sometimes. so and also, yeah, being a hoe is kind of cool. It's like is that what y'all doing with that hot girl summer? I don't know what y'all
Yeah, I
doing.
mean we've redefined it now. It's cool now, and that's
Yeah,
fine. You know what? I like I said before, whatever you are, like seriously, whatever you are, whatever you do, if you own it, I can rock with you.
that's fair. That's fair.
So
I think yeah. I think I'm also I play that shit up for white folks. So that thug shit. I'm fairly tall. I'm a big dude. I'm not small by any means. Uh, I am shout out to Zaire, but I actually am the hoodie season representative. I love wearing a good hoodie. So white folks tend to do that thing, or white folks will do this thing. They'll see me and they'll be like, "Do you play for the Redskins?" No, no, I don't. I do not play for the Redskins. Uh, but have you ever been strong arm robbed in broad daylight? No, no. So that's the thing. I don't know, man. I think the thing about being considered as thugs is that's all pre-made shit through propaganda. I think some of the people I've seen motherfuckers who look like strong arm criminals, like, oh, that nigga sell drugs. And it's just like it's some engineer or that thing. I love talking to people. And I think that's the thing that podcasting has brought to me is like talking to different people where I'm like, damn, I didn't know that dude was that smart, or I didn't know this person was this engaging. But also just from the looks of it, man, I think a lot of times one conversation can change everything. Kind of the same thing too. I don't really know what black women really want from us. I mean, I've had conversations with black women and it's a love-hate relationship with us. And that's fine because we deserve all of that. It's one thing,
yeah,
like I love you, but I know that you're dangerous. Um, I love you and I know you're reckless, but I know that the world has it out for you. It's a thing where we watch black women get killed by black men and then they still continue to love us through being like, it's not a singular thing either. It's not just like, oh, it's just this one black dude that's killed a black. It's the murder of black women by black men, and then them still being like, but I know some of y'all are still kings.
yeah,
I know y'all are still. We still love y'all, even through our bullshit. I think just now is the part where like everybody, especially as men, like they've been preaching that hold y'all each other accountable shit for years. And then we showed up with some like, oh shit, you know what we should do, dude? We should hold each other
each other
accountable.
accountable. Yeah,
And they in the back, like, nigga, we been you know what? Y'all got it. So that's the thing. It's that thing of like holding each other accountable, the love-hate relationship. And they don't necessarily hate us. It's the thing of being like, I still want the best for y'all. I think if you go look at that, um, what was it? It was the Elliot Wilson and his wife. They was doing the thing, like going back and asking questions about their marriage and their careers and stuff. And she said the thing about it is with you, Elliot, is like I'm afraid for you. And she started naming all the black dudes in her family, like her nephew and son and all these other people. The day she was of like afraid for each day. That's the thing that I think about the most as us, like you said, walking out in the world and being thugs, and you know, we casually dress for work, and you still getting profiled.
yeah.
We out here, motherfuckers with whole casual suits on and shit, being like, oh, man, he's probably selling drugs.
It,
Still getting
and
profiled
I
in
don't get
cars.
that. I don't get that. We have hoodies on. We're thugs. We
Yeah,
dress well. We have on shirts and ties. We sell drugs. Like what?
Yeah, same. I mean, listen, I saw somebody a couple of days ago get pulled over in front of me. They had a BMW. The dude was driving in a tank top. They pulled him over, and I was like, "Damn, I know why they pulled you over. You wearing a do rag and a white 745 with a tank top on. They going. I already know. They just think you're not supposed to have that.
Yeah.
But the same thing. These strong attributes of not wanting to talk about it, and the conversation that I think we don't have enough is like men talking to women about the weight of the world and from their perspectives, because everybody feels like we always, as we talked about on the episode with J Dot, we out here doing the pain Olympics. Like, who got it worse every day? Who got it worse?
And I'm so tired of it. Like, and I saw this infographic, and maybe you saw it too. I think I saw it on Twitter. It was a man hanging over a cliff, holding a woman's hand who was dangling off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the man on top of the cliff had a boulder on his legs. The woman at the bottom of the cliff, a snake was biting her stomach, and it was meant to depict that women can't see the pressure that is on men, and men can't understand the pain that women go through. And we so busy trying to measure who has it worse, and we don't give each other perspective so that we can try to understand where the other is coming from. It's just, oh no, you don't understand. I got it worse because of this, and we've lost that ability or that desire to truly understand what the opposite sex goes through, and we focus more on trying to force them to force them to see, oh no, I got it worse than you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think that's why I really stopped talking about it. I mean, of course, there's no court system that's telling me I can't conceive and shit like that. Like, people making decisions for my body and stuff like that. So I absolutely understand where they're coming from on that aspect. But I would love to have a conversation. My thing is, I'm not coming to you saying that my pain is greater than yours or your pain is less than mine. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, yeah, we going through some shit, and this affects me physically. Like, stress does shit to your body. Like, your mind's not right, all that other stuff. So maybe I can't care about you, or not necessarily saying I can't care about you, but like, my priorities are fucked up because of all this other shit that's going on. And I would love to have the conversation to be like, this is how the world treats me, and you don't see it. And this, and this, and they're judging me because of my hair, and they're judging me because of this thing. And they asking me about my language and shit like that. Like, I've been in offices where there's not a lot of black folks, and I watch black folks, especially black women, just kind of conform. And I'll be like, yo, and that's fucked up. Or I'll give you a prime example. This lady was leaving to go on vacation, and like typical, like, cute black girls, right? She went and got her braids done because, protective styling and shit. And this white lady came in and she was like, oh my God, I've never seen hair like that before. And ran over to her and ran her fingers through her fucking hair. No bullshit.
Yeah,
we sitting in the office. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I could see it in her face that she like, I want to snap and tell this bitch don't touch me and all that other shit. And then the lady walked off and was like, oh, the white lady, did you see such and such's hair? So I walked over to her and I was like, damn, yo, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's whack. And she was like, kind of like disheveled in a way. Like, she just was looking at me like, man, whatever the fuck. Like, I'm about to go on vacation tomorrow. But I'm like, that's the thing where I'm like, damn, that'll never happen to me. Like, nobody ever does that. I mean, they do that at the office party. Like, you've been there where people try to touch your beard and shit. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Get back up now. But like, that shit'll happen and you be like, damn, but it's never as degrading or like make a spectacle of in that way. And so I think about that particular instance a lot when I'm having conversations with women about what they're going through and how they're feeling.
That's a word, bro. Like, in yeah, we will never understand something like that. And I think that what you did in that instance is how a lot of us need to react. Like, support our sisters, and we don't do that sometimes because we're fearful of coming off a way that we don't intend. But I think, like, at the end of the day, support is support, and I think we need to be more about that. If more of us was like that, it wouldn't seem like such a shock to people when they get that type of support. Luckily, she responded well to you, but like, there are some people who wouldn't have responded as well. They may have lashed out at you because of what they went through, rather than understand that you're trying to be supportive in that moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, next question. This one. How do we balance making the people around us feel safe while also being ourselves? That not overly aggressive, but black men, we naturally carry ourselves with power. I honestly think that.
Mhm.
And so sometimes that power can put people in fearful spaces, especially depending on if they had something traumatic go through them. So how
Mhm.
do you still be that powerful black man that you are while still making the people around you who don't necessarily know you feel safe? Or do you think it's not even your job to make the motherfuckers feel safe?
Your first thing you do first is beat somebody up on camera. No, no, don't do that. But yeah, that's it, man. Like, I think it's really the tone of your voice. I think
Okay.
just like you said, like being a parent, you got that thing. It's switching you that'll be like, this is the tone that lets people know that I'm not playing. And it does two things. It does that thing for women who are interested and women who are in your circle to be like, oh no, he means that shit. Versus to the other person, it strikes fear in them.
Okay.
Um, that is that thing where you can be like, now we can go about this. Like if you, especially people who men specifically in podcasting who do this, there's different tones that you use when you're trying to convey different
Different
stories,
messages. Yeah.
right? And different messages, right? So ideally, what notes you need to hit where you're just like, I'm gonna let y'all know that if I don't receive the money on this day, there won't be an office for you to return to. So
Per my
the
last email.
yeah, for sure. Like I'm not gonna ask again. So that thing tends to work out. But like you said, like even showing up, man, I I've been in places where people are intimidated and I haven't said a word, and I'm not paying them any attention.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, damn man, you didn't look approachable, man. You like you was about to fuck somebody up, and I'm like, I've literally been standing over in this corner laughing. I don't know, I don't know what type of shit y'all are into, but nah, I have no idea why y'all feel that way. I think the way we make other people feel safe is like through our actions, man. I think a lot of what we are already stereotyped in are positive things, right? Like so to
Yeah.
be providers, to be protectors, that's gonna come naturally. That's muscle memory. That it ain't gonna do nothing. I'm always surprised when I see these videos of like things happening to women and I see dudes kind of standing around. I'm like, damn, you ain't even
Yeah.
act like you was gonna step in.
Yeah. I don't understand that at all, man.
And that, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest like let's run over here and just start diving on people, but I'm also like, wait. So y'all watched them set up for the fight. Even this new shit, the new nasty shit that I don't like, the pushing chicks in the pool. I don't like
Yeah.
none of that shit.
Yeah. I don't either. That
So
no, no.
I don't like none of
Nah,
this shit
bro.
that they got going on, fam. I don't know what this shit is about. Like it's hard for me to watch. Even when I see it, I'm like, damn, I don't understand how y'all get down. Like, but I think that's the provide like the, not the provider, but that's the protector in me being like, damn, yo, why y'all doing that? Like, you got to check the dudes and all types of shit. So I just think it's already like ingrained in us to do that. I don't know, like as far as steps that we need to take to do that, um, to really showcase it. But I think it's a to each your own type thing too.
Yeah. See, and the reason why I put that question on there for you, because I knew from listening to you, I felt you would have a different answer than me because my answer is fuck them people. Like honestly, and that's not even like in a disrespectful way, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like, and I get on about this all the time. It's like me, I have a very strong. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about
Mm-hmm.
my family. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about my wife. Like I'm worried about those things. If you're not those people in their circle, I can
Yeah.
almost give two fucks about how you feel.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I still try to nowadays as I'm getting older, I try to mind how I interact with people that are like it used to be if I'm in checking out in the grocery store, don't talk to me. Get my money, run my card, give me my
Yeah.
stuff. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Now I'll make a little conversation with people. Now I'll make a little small talk because at the end of the day, like I am a friendly person. I
Mm-hmm.
may not be as outgoing as some people,
For
but
sure.
I'm overall a friendly person. So I try to do that, but still, and I'm growing from it now. But my mindset usually is, especially if you don't know me and you feel some type of way about how I'm either standing, how I said something, I don't give a damn. But I'm trying to get better with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times too. But do you think that that's based on the service industry? Because I notice a lot of people have that like, I don't give a shit what's going on. Like, fuck that. We in a supermarket. We at a restaurant. But I'm like, damn man, the waiters got to go through it.
Yeah.
Um, I always wonder what that's like because I think about it more like I've been in parties like we all kind of show up here and some shit break out and then it's kind of like a free for all. Like you said, they're not immediate family. They're not people that I necessarily care about. But I've been working on that too, where you kind of like, hey, I'm trying to be friendly. I crack a little joke with the cashier or some shit like that. But like, for those of you that know me, I'm also into like the really interesting T-shirt game. So I always got like a wild T-shirt on, so people will make comments about that. That's the only thing about that too, about like fuck them people, is because sometimes they want to be over friendly. Now you got to hold me up.
Yeah,
And
see,
you're like, oh yeah, I want to talk about your T-shirt.
see,
Oh man,
no,
that's Thanos doing
no.
some shit. And I'm like, hey fam, just wrap the sandwich up.
I hate small talk, bro. And maybe that's what is really rooted in is I hate small talk with a passion. There's only
Okay.
so much. Like, how's the weather? It's good. Like, I don't want to go into it rain 3 times last week. I don't care. It's cool now. Like, we ain't gotta have a 3-minute conversation about the rain, bro. It's
Oh, that's
raining. It's
fair.
cool. Yeah.
Okay.
But so and I'm coming and being like a podcast and talking more kind of as my profession because I do this so much. I'm like I said, I'm coming out of it honestly. But yeah, like 3-4 years ago, it was bad. Like I would seriously look at people dead in their face and be like, "Oh, well, how's your day doing? Good. Don't ask me nothing else. Like that's it. You got what you need. Like don't ask me nothing else."
No, that's fair. That's fair. I respect that.
All right. Last question that we have for the night before we go, man. And this goes back to something you said earlier. It's about accountability. How do we motivate and hold our brothers accountable for not only their actions, but how perception of the public can affect them? So basically, my thought behind that is like, how do we keep our brothers, the people under us, the people that are learning from us, the people around us that we care about, to realize that the perception that they give off, the perception that people have of them can affect them. It can affect them in their career, it can affect them in their extracurriculars, it can affect them in networking and building a business and a brand. How do we make people more aware and accountable of that?
Through networking and mentorship, I think I wish I would have had a mentor in my career. I wish I would have had a mentor in my community. I think about this a lot, even with BJ. Like I wish I had somebody who was as emotionally intelligent as BJ when I was young.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like trials and tribulations that I probably could have skipped had I had conversations about that. So holding each other accountable, I think you have to fix where you mess up or fix when you mess up where you mess up. So if you do it publicly, you gotta, and I know people hate it now, the iOS press releases and shit like that. But like if you tweeted some wild shit and you got backlash for it, hopefully your homies came to your aid, but like you gotta put out the press release on the timeline. If you are, personally or professionally fucking up, man, hopefully you got somebody close to you that can kind of set you down and be like, hey man, you've been having a lot of erratic behavior lately. Let's have a conversation. Like, what's really going on? Somebody that you will really, like you said, you can really have a conversation with. Starting groups, whether it be text groups, group chats, whatever, just like doing check-ins, every once in a while, seeing what's on y'all's to-do list. I wish the person who created that top 50 rappers list had a person to talk to because they are obviously insane. And stuff like that. Like just the conversations in general to where you could essentially be like, hey, are you good? So
Yeah. It's important, man. And yeah, as I get older, I recognize the importance of that, man. And I think too, is as important as it is to be that person to reach out and say, "Hey, are you good?" We need to realize too that if somebody asks that, it's okay to then open up. You don't got to put on the face of, "Yeah, I'm good, bro. It'll be all right. I'm good." Like if somebody's reaching out and saying that to you, especially coming from men who aren't really trained to do that, if a man asks you that, it's something that's causing them alarm. Like so, and if it is something going on, be okay to open up. That's where the growth is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if it feels uncomfortable, that's definitely where the growth is.
Yeah, that's 100% fact, man. Well, Jay, we did it, man. This is a classic. I'm labeling it right now, bro.
All right, man, I'm with it. For all the ladies that are gonna hear this, don't mention me. Just let me do my thing. But yeah, no, I appreciate you for reaching out. I appreciate you for having me here. This was really dope.
Oh man, anytime. Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you before we go.
Oh, you can find us everywhere. You can find us at Pod Dealers. It's all spelled out, and that's where you can see me tweeting about all the other podcasts that are on the Pod Dealer Network. You can also find me at the Just Say Words podcast. Go listen, subscribe, rate, and review. You can also find me tweeting at Just Say Words Pod, and you can go buy merch put on your beautiful bodies. So go to teespring.com/stores/words pod, and then tag me when you wear the merch. That way you can go on our website and be in the gallery with all the other beautiful black people. There's
Well,
like
there
two
you
white
go.
people over there that bought merch. Shout out to those two white people.
Man, it's so weird to me, man. Like